Alright, let us begin our study today. Nibbida Part 2. Nibbida is one of the key Buddhist emotions. It is a feeling of not wanting to be cheated by the world. That is the easiest way to define it. It is based in wisdom. In a sense, this wisdom is a very early stage of direct knowledge or wisdom or insight into true reality. It's just like we put our hand into the fire and it burns. We'll never do it again. Although it appears to be negative, the point is it reflects true reality. And when we're able to understand this and able to respond accordingly with Nibbida, then true happiness will follow. Otherwise, we will get a false kind of happiness, and then we kind of go around in circles and we think everything is alright. So Nibbida can arise in different ways. So today, the book we're using, as you see on the whiteboard, is SD, volume 20 is the one, okay? 20. And it is chapter 1. But here in this volume, we're going to page 12. Nibbida and the 7 awakening factors. So here we can see how Nibbida arises, or the context of Nibbida, which translates as revulsion. So one of the very famous starting point of Nibbida is actually faith. And this is the model found in the Upanishad Sutta. Upanishad Sutta is very, very amazing in a sense that it talks about abandon ending, so to speak, when it begins with suffering. From suffering arises faith. In other words, when we go through lots of suffering, failure, then we begin to think, why? Something must be wrong. Right? So we begin to look around for answers. And in doing so, we actually are showing faith in ourselves that we can somehow succeed. We've got to keep on looking for the answer. So that is faith. Right? So here on page 12 of the SD 20.1, first chapter of the SD 20, we have what are called the writing 9, 2, 4, 6, 10, 10, 2, 4, 6, 10 stages or 10 aspects of mental processes or realization, beginning with faith to liberation. So when we have this faith arising in us, faith meaning we know we can be at peace with ourselves, we know Buddhism somehow will work for us, there is a sense of joy, right? Pamoja, joy, a simple level of feeling happy, feeling good.
Joy, the word is piti, isn't it?
Then from joy, arises piti, or zest. Zest. This is it's a deepening of joy, if you like. It becomes more exuberant, kind of. It translates as joyful interest. In other words, you show more interest in your work. And when zest becomes stronger, it becomes gentler also. There is tranquility, passaddhi. A kind of body and mind in harmony, peaceful, joyful. And this tranquility matures into sukha, happiness. Sukha can also translate something like comfort. Comfort. And so in other words, the joy of body and mind becomes even stronger still. And this comfort or this happiness helps us to focus. In other words, if our body and mind are all at peace and we feel good, comfortable, then the mind becomes fully focused, concentration, a kind of stillness so that we can see through into reality. And concentration is the immediate cause or immediate condition for knowledge and vision of things as they really are. So you see things as they really are, and you also understand. Right? You kind of know the words for it, so to speak, something like that. And once you have this knowledge and vision of things as they really are, or true reality, that's when revulsion comes in, Nibbida. Right? So this, once you see things as they really are, you do not be cheated by them. You have no more feeling for it, no more attraction to it. This is called dispassion. Viraga. Viraga, raga means last desire, vi means taken away, no more, rejected, pushed out. In fact, sometimes Nibbida is translated as aversion, avert, to turn away from something. So here, this passion, no passion. Passion gone, because we know the reality of the situation, we don't be cheated anymore by it. And as a result, we are truly free. Free from being controlled by this object or this idea or this desire. So this in turn is a very simple way of looking at how from suffering to faith, joy, zest, tranquility, happiness, concentration, knowledge and vision of things as they really are, revulsion, dispassion, and ending in liberation. Here, liberation in Pali is asavakkhaya jnana, the knowledge of, or rather this liberation is the immediate cause or condition leading to this knowledge of the destruction of the influxes, asava influxes. And this is arhathood actually. Well, we may not attain to such a high level, but the liberation here, vimutti, refers to a very basic feeling of being free from distractions, suffering, things like that. It's a temporary feeling, but still it's good. It helps us to be more committed to the spiritual life. So if you extend this faith and this liberation and you go on working towards it, of course you will sooner or later lead on to straight meaning, and once return, non-return, and arhathood. In the suttas, we often find arhathood, asavakkhaya jnana, often quite freely mentioned. Because in the Buddha's time, these great saints, they practiced meditation, they were spending lives training themselves. So when the Buddha arose in the world, they kind of, like they are attracted to the Buddha naturally, and so they become enlightened very easily. So in a sense, we are all here preparing ourselves for that moment. Maybe, surely I would say, many of us will meet the Buddha in the future, a long time to come. So here we are preparing. If you love the sutta, if you keep the practice, you don't get lost in all the various views about Buddhism. But you go direct to the Buddha's teaching, then you build up this affinity for the Buddha. So, in a sense, we can also look at these stages of what's called a dependent ending by way of the 7 awakening factors, Satta Bojjhanga. Now, Satta Bojjhanga, you have number 1 is mindfulness, sati. Number 2 is Dhamma investigation, Dhamma Vichaya, mental investigation, or investigation of mental states. Effort, viriya, here of course refers mostly to mental effort. And zest, again a familiar word, or piti, then tranquility, passaddhi, concentration, samadhi, equanimity, upekkha. So you see a bit of overlapping here. In fact, if you put them side by side, as found on page 13 of SD 20.1, you will see they are actually overlapping. In the case of the 7 awakening factors, it starts with mindfulness. So you have two ways of experiencing Nibbida. One is through daily life, as you look around, especially when there is notice suffering, you think the failure, things like that, so you begin to look at all these things, and you begin to understand life better, so to speak. On the other hand, you can also do meditation by practicing mindfulness, watching whatever comes to you, whatever arises through body and mind. Sati, so when you're mindfulness, this mindfulness is the basis for mental investigation. Whatever comes to mind, memories, thoughts, ideas, feelings, emotions, you watch them, you observe them, notice a commonality. What sort of pattern do these things go through? One thing you will surely notice, they all rise and fall, rise and fall. Impermanent. Happy states rise and fall. Negative states rise and fall. Even neutral states come and go. Impermanent. So you go on watching this, you put in more and more effort. Sustain the effort, virya. This is the real hero, because virya comes the word vira, meaning hero. So someone who puts in effort in meditation is a hero of sorts. And when you put in this, you do your mental investigation, and the next word here in the list, you find on the other side, you add in wise consideration. On the other side, meaning here there is a list of 9 greatly helpful states. Starting with wise consideration, and this is similar to mental investigation, Dhamma Vichaya. Wise consideration, yo niso manasika, is kind of a synonym of mental investigation or Dhamma Vichaya. In case you're wondering what the 9 where the 9 greatly helpful states come from, you can see note 41. So here you have S35.60, S3561, right? So these 9 helpful states that lead to liberation. So you put them side by side, you find they're very similar, just like the pattern given in the Upanishad Sutta also. So you have joy, thorough with effort in the awakening factor, and then for zest as a helpful state, you have the same zest on the other side, the other column, awakening factor of zest also. Bodily calm under the helpful state, and then awakening factor also is the same, tranquility. Then under awakening factor you have concentration, and in the 9 helpful states you have a set of 3 qualities: happiness, sukacita, mental concentration, samadhi, and insight into reality, vipassana, if you like. So this is subsumed under concentration, awakening factor. And then the 7th awakening factor is equanimity. You have 3 qualities, and the last 3 of the helpful states: revulsion, where you are, and then fading away of lust, viraga, and then liberation. So all this, they are overlapping that way. Okay, it's on page 13. So, right, so the details are on page 14 if you can't catch up what I've been saying. You can read the literature on page 14 and 15. The 9 state method, or 9 stages method if you like. It's all given there for you to read. Now don't worry about such details if you can't remember them. Do not worry about so many names if you have difficulty with them. Just take a few, 1 or 2 at the start. For example, take On page 13, you can take mindfulness, one of the first of the awakening factor, or you can take wise consideration, the first the helpful state. Reflect on that. What does it mean? Wise consideration, yoniso manasikara, means to look at things going back to the source. The source meaning, how do all things actually behave? They all change. That's the first basic rule. Everything changes. And when something changes, you have no control over it. That's called unsatisfactoriness. And when something changes, it is unsatisfactory, there is no abiding entity. So there you have the three characteristics: anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anicca is impermanence, dukkha is unsatisfactoriness, anatta is oneself. Right? So if you reflect on these three, or even just the first one, we call that yoniso manasikara, or yoniso manasikaroti. Of course, if you say, I am the one who's reflecting this way, yoniso manasikaromi. So whatever happens to us, good things, bad things, we just yoniso manasikaromi. Look at it as impermanent, and then go from there. Then the other one's mindfulness. Basically, it's watching the same thing. And then you go on from there. One by one, you reflect, like during the review period of meditation, you reflect, how did my day go, how did the week go, how did the month go, or even how did the year go. And then you reflect all these patterns of how you think, how you feel, things going on around, in and around you, and you see this pattern. Then you begin to understand better with all these terms I've given here. The awakening factors are also given in the Anapanasati Sutta. It's given in section 4.2.7. Page 15. Yeah. Now we have three very interesting words. Nibbida, Samvega, and Masada. Just write this on the board. Those of you who are new to it. These three words are closely connected. And Nibbida, as we know, is a sense of aversion, repulsion towards something that is negative, painful. We do not like to be cheated by this thing, the falseness of life, so to speak. Virtual reality, very nice on the outside, but the reality behind it is false and painful. So when we experience this sort of thing, one of the first experiences we notice is a sense of meaninglessness. We begin to wonder, what's going on here? What am I doing here? What's the meaning of life? It's just like you're working so hard, to do something, and then let's say you have been cleaning your house, everything's so nice, and suddenly this flood comes along and all the mud and so on, and the house gets dirty and furniture gets destroyed and so on. And you have a lot of books, and your books get washed away. I mean, you just suddenly feel shocked. What's all this about? Right? That's called Samvega. It's just like the time when Datta saw the three signs of old man, sick man, dead man. Decay, disease, death personified. So he suddenly felt that a rug has been pulled from under him. Because he realized, wow, even just not me, I mean my loved ones, the princess, the parents, all the people I know are going to face all these 3Ds of life, decay, disease, death. So Samvega arose with him. Samvega is a very powerful feeling, a sense of urgency, sometimes described as someone wearing a turban, his turban is on fire, and he just wants to quickly throw it away. So Samvega is where you have this shock of reality. It's very close to Nibbida, actually. Very close and overlapping in meaning. And in a sense, the difference, you might say, between the two words, Nibbida and Samvega, is that Nibbida is usually taken as a very powerful spiritual feeling of quite some depth. Samvega, on the other hand, it's almost like a social experience of it. You could experience it and then you can forget about it, so to speak. And after that, you can get drunk or enjoy sexual pleasure and you forget all about it, and then it comes again and it comes and goes. Or you could get depressed and that's it, But in the case of Prince Siddhartha, you remember he saw the three sides: an old man, sick man, a dead man, the three Ds, decay, disease, death personified. And then he saw the fourth side, or at least Buddhist legends and hagiography tell us. The fourth side is a very calm, pleasant-looking, holy man, very properly dressed, walking calmly. And of course, when Prince Siddhartha sees this holy man, he feels relief, very happy. That's the way out. And so he felt relieved, joyful, bright. So if Samvega is dark, heavy, unhappy, you just want to run away from that situation. Samvega is this feeling of joy, attraction, faith, peace. It's a that's it answer. That's it feeling. This is what I want. This is what I should follow. Pasada, this brightness, this joyful faith that the solution has been found. So that's how Nibbida, Samvega, Pasada are related. This is on page 16 if you want to continue reading more. So this is where you have this Dhammapada verse which kind of neatly summarizes this kind of experience. So we are kind of giving up something not so positive for something more positive. A lesser happiness for a greater happiness. So the Dhammapada 290 says this: Matta sukha paricaga paseche vipulang sukhang. Jaje matta sukhang hiro sampasang vipulang sukhang. First line, matta sukha paricaga. One should give up a lesser happiness, or mere happiness, if you like, matta, matta sukha. Pase che vipulang sukhang. If one sees a greater happiness, one should give up a lesser happiness if one sees a greater happiness. Jaje matta sukhang diro. Let the wise let go of the lesser happiness. Sampasang vipulang sukhang, for the sake of a greater happiness. That is a logical thing to do, the right thing to do, and the happy thing to do. So, in other words, before you can get true happiness, you have to learn to let go of the lesser happiness, which in a way is holding us back, distracting us. So this is the meaning of renunciation. You renounce, you let go of something which is not really that valuable, which is actually causing us a lot of suffering for a greater happiness. Of course, here we're not so much talking about people and things. We don't go around throwing people out, If your family, you can get rid of the family. Of course, you can renounce the world, but that's another matter. What are we renouncing here? We're renouncing negative emotions. We are renouncing wrong ways of looking at things. We are letting go of wrong views. Of course, on a higher level, we can say that slowly getting rid of the views themselves. But that is a bit on a higher level. It can be difficult at first. I've written a separate long article on this, on the notion of ditthi, where we talk about how the real Buddhist training is the gradual letting go of all views. In a sense, we first we push away wrong views by cultivating right view, especially through keeping the precepts. And then through meditation, we focus on this right view. Here, right view can simply be understood as, again, anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self, right? And in the case of the first training where we clear away wrong views, is to understand the three unwholesome roots, greed, hate, delusion. Right? So first stage, get understand and try to lessen greed, hate, delusion by keeping the precepts. And then through meditation, we try to further uproot more and more of these three unwholesome roots, greed, hate, delusion. At the same time, we cultivate anicca, dukkha, anatta, and then the wisdom comes to us in stages. Okay?